Hi, everybody. Welcome to Coach Playbook with Paul LaPolice, your home for elite CFL breakdown analysis. Grey Cup week. Can't believe we're already here, but this is what we got planned for this week. So East and West, we'll have a breakdown of both offense, defense, what happened in the finals. We'll also go back to Toronto, Winnipeg, the two times they played. We're going to break down those games and have basically a breakdown of what they did in those games. So today, let's talk about the East final. We're going to look at Toronto's defense. They did a couple of things. They did some line movements. They do a really good job of shedding blockers and splitting double teams. And they do a really good job of some run or zone blitzes in the run game to kind of force the ball into handing it off into loaded box, which means a lot of defenders. So we broke down about 8 or 12 of those clips. We're going to watch them. Before I go, please subscribe to the page and turn notifications on. It's going to alert you as we're posting. We're going to post past Grey Cup. We'll be posting a Grey Cup review as well as stuff in the off season, so you don't want to miss that. But now, let's open the playbook on the East Final Toronto defense. One of the reasons Toronto's so good at stopping the run is their ability to shed blocks at the D-line and linebacker position. This is a 2nd and 3 run from last week, but it just kind of goes to my point. We're going to watch Ralph Hawley, and he's going to be by himself on the center, on Lawrence. And Lawrence does a good job, good hip movement by Lawrence here, but Hawley just at one point can just throw him off and get involved to make a play on the tailback. Now, the other one I want you to see is McGloster on Isaac Darkangelo. So McGloster pushes the 3 technique, does a good job off to the guard, gets in Darkangelo, and then Darkangelo just kind of throws him off, big collision. You also have McFadden here. Technically it's going to be hard for you to get McFadden, but it's 2nd and 3, so that should get the first down. But I just love the ability of this defensive line to shed blocks. Sometimes when you see run plays from this angle, you just say, hey, the offensive line didn't get a lot of push. It's only a 2-yard gain. What happened here? I think there's also going to be a penalty on this play for a hold. But when you see it from this end zone angle or the coach's end zone angle, you can see a lot more. And this is one of the things Toronto does very well, and it's called line movements. So when the ball's snapped, you're going to see that defensive lineman and that defensive lineman go into these gaps. And what they're trying to do, because they see the back over here, they think the run play is going to go here, and it's probably going to force the back to spill this way, and they're trying to get Wynton McManus free. But Mustache does a really good job getting up on McManus, fights through it and goes. But you see when this penetration happens, it forces the back to go this way. And usually when these two guys are going this way, Wynton would know to jump over to this spot. Now, what really happens on this play? Watch Smith over here. He sees the back in this direction. He's got a stunt himself where he's moving inside. If you watch him, right here, he's cross-facing the tackle, trying to beat him across, and he's the one that makes the tackle for the short gain. So Toronto does a very good job of doing different line movements to try to make it more difficult for the offensive line. Whale sighting last week. Big whale sighting. What is a whale? Whale is a weak side blitz. That's the will linebacker. That's the halfback. Okay, W-H. W for weak side. So a whale is when the will and the halfback blitz. It's a zone blitz. You do it on rundowns. There goes the middle linebacker working this way. They go and play zone behind it. So why do you do a whale? Look, key is that the back's over here. Montreal does a ton of zone read BTLs where they fake a zone play and Cody throws it on the outside. So when you do a whale like this, he plays contain. He comes hard inside. He comes down to this space. You are forcing the quarterback. When he sees this, I have to hand the football off. So Toronto's trying to take away Montreal's ability to pull the zone read and get easy completions. That's why you would do a whale stunt. And you can see there goes the Will. He's going to crash into this gap. He's going to go to this gap. He's going to go upfield and do what's called playing contain. So that triggers a handoff, well, there's this huge space. Yes, there is, but that's handled by Milton in case the ball spilled right there. So Winnipeg is going to have to be careful because Winnipeg does a lot of zone reads. I expect the whale to be something that shows up in the Grey Cup. A field pressure this time from the Argos. Cody just misses this zone blitz, this throw into the zone blitz. So safety's going to go this way. There's your two deep players. Here's your underneath player. So they're playing quarters of the field. He's going to play a quarter of the field. He'll play a quarter of the field. Smith is going to drop out. And the will linebacker is going to take a space. So you have 3 underneath and 4 deep. So there's a lot of holes open. But you're hoping to get home on your blitz. So I want to show you this. See that point right there? 54 makes this point. He's telling we got this, that it's a 3-man slide in that direction. He's got him. Fletcher now has McManus, and you should be picked up. But what's going to happen is late, you're going to get a Sam pressure. So that should trigger the quarterback to throw hot, but Cole Speaker is adding in to protect. Gets a little goofed up here because Fletcher go to the same guy, and you say, well, how did this work? It's because as soon as he dropped out, these guys kind of slid in and they could kind of form a wall because Fletcher technically ends up in the wash with the center. All right, so the fact that these two guys dropped allowed these guys to slide back in and take everything, give Cody a pocket to throw from. But this is a difficult thing you got to work on when you play the Argos. They do a lot of these zone pressures. Jake Szczesny here with a big sack. I mean, he's such a talented football player. He can win with speed. Let's kind of explain how he wins and why. So the protection's set this way. Where the back is, he's going to take that one. He's going to take that one. He's going to take that one. So now you have 3 people left. And the center is going to take Wynton McManus. So you can tell this is what's called the slide side. And you can tell they're worried about Hawley because Lawrence actually gives a piece and is actually helping here. He can help to either side. Now, because Jake is in this, what's called a gap, you call that a 3 technique. Okay, this would be a 1 technique. He doesn't get doubled. And what would mean, if he was sitting right here, I'm sure the center would help right there. But right now, with him on the outside, Gagnon is by himself. And he has late hands, and he gets beat real quick. And he kind of leans forward instead of setting back. And when you have late hands, Jake just swims by him, can make this sack. And the only other thing I would say, and I know McGloster here, anytime you're on over here, if he could set a little bit more vertical, and what that means is when you have a 3 technique with you, can you really just, that guy's going to go upfield, can you don't open your hips, create a little bit of a shoulder path for him to make it harder for him to go through that gap. But nice play by Jake Szczesny. Good speed, good pass rush from the 3 technique spot. Got some really good physicality on this next clip on both sides. I'm going to start with the fullback. All right? Delaire. Watch this. Boom. Comes with speed, delivers a blow, keeps his feet moving, drives. I know Flo's not the biggest defensive end, but that's a physical football play right there. Now, this is a double team. They're doubling here to, I'm not really sure here. I would have thought they would have gone out to the linebacker, and then these two are going to double to this linebacker. So he's coming back. They're going to put Snead on this one. And here's what happens. Hawley just splits this double team. And Fletcher sees it, and he's trying to figure out, where do I go? Here or back? He ends up starting to wind back. You already have Wynton right there. But D'Arcangelo blitzes off this edge, and he can just beat Snead and be a point, use his physicality to make this play for a negative yardage play. So, again, Toronto does a lot with their physicality. They got strong guys who can split double teams and shed blocks. Zone at the 5-yard line. When you can get a pass rush, it's really good. You force the quarterback to hold the football, and that's what happens here. So let me review something. This is a little bit different front. Okay, there's nobody in the A gaps. So you also identify things with techniques. This would be a 1 technique. This would be a 3 technique. That is a 5 technique. There'd be a 7 if there was a tight end, an inside shade, and 9 would be an outside shade. So in passing situations, you don't put a player in this gap because normally teams will double that player who's sitting right there. So if you put 2-3 techniques, it's harder to get a double. It's a better pass rush front alignment. So go to where the slide's going this way so they can actually help, right? Especially because he does go into the A gap eventually. But here, Hawley just wins with speed over Lestage. I don't know if it's speed. He just gets underneath his pads and he just keeps pushing and wins. Even with, I like what the left tackle does here. This is what I talked about the last time. The left tackle, don't just run out to your spot to try to take this. Set more vertically to help. Don't create a big space for Hawley to get through. You can even see him trying to use his hands. He's trying to help the left guard, but that's great pass rush by Hawley. Started this talking about the ability of these linebackers and defensive backs to shed blocks. Here's a good recognition of what play is being run here and a little bit of a shed blocking play. Cole Speaker adds into the backfield. You sometimes do this, get a better athlete on a screen pass. So he's going to pass, set, and block. He's going to block for a 2 count, and then he's going to release into the screen. And you're going to try to get one of these 2 linemen this side on the screen. Sometimes it's hard to get out if the center's covered here, right? So what happens is the backside guard ends up getting out first in the screen. So the biggest thing is trying to stay as flat as you can to create a kick out. Stash doesn't do that. The backside guard doesn't get to Winton. So they both recognize the screen. And sometimes you're just tough for these big guys to be out there. They're trying to just get in front. But good recognition and great play by the Toronto's defense. Excelled last week.